Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. And today, we're being joined by Kimberley Bell, author of Empowering You, 11 Ways to Shift Your Personal Paradigm. Kimberley, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. Are you ready to begin?
I am. Thank you.
All right. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
So, piece of advice I would give to a first-time author is try not to get lost in the perfection and the rewriting over and over again in the beginning. I literally would have kept writing the same book over and over and over again had I not stopped myself and made myself move forward. So that's what I would offer. There's plenty of time for revision. There's plenty of time for rewriting, but move through that perfection early on, because I feel like it holds us back from that creative energy that we have.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
You know, it's funny. I looked at this question. So here's a funny thing, I guess. I never thought about trying to get published. So I decided to self-publish because that was something that was, coming on the scene a few years ago, or it was already going on. So I decided to go ahead and just self-publish and kind of go around that. I didn't really have extra time in my life to put somewhere else. So that was my choice. I decided to publish for myself.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
Okay, so do not have a lot of experience with marketing strategy, but I will tell you how I've done it. So my book sells through my engagements. So that might be an online course that I'm teaching. That might be an in-person, obviously book signing. That might be a speaking engagement. Events like that. These types of channels and avenues are the ways that I sell most of my books. I have done through some boutiques, believe it or not, some like salons and type things. So it's typically the in-person for me, the in-person engagement.
So how were you able to get your book sold at different boutiques like salons and places like that? Because I think that's very innovative.
Well, so basically I get together with the store owner, okay, and we have like an evening, right? And we open it up to their people. Of course, we market that. We let people know. We're blasting it all over social media. And we have an opportunity on a few levels. First of all, I usually like to have a charity that is involved somewhat. So I will ask the business owner if they will go ahead and discount things so that, or actually they take part of the proceeds and they make a donation to a charity. And at the same time, people will come in, they'll take a look at my book. I might speak, and they'll feel motivated through what they hear from me to buy my book, to purchase the book. So it's really a win-win for everybody,
I like that. So it's almost like a little party, so to speak.
It is like a little party, so to speak. Exactly. I mean, we're having fun and we're helping each other. So that's really powerful.
Well, the reason I mentioned that is I'm a big fan of book launch parties. We actually did one in our entertainment district last year when we did our multi-author book. And it's just a great experience because it was fun. It was laid back. We had programming. I did an author panel with some of our featured people in the book, but it was just a fun event. We had some giveaways because we had different people that would sponsor the event or give away items. And it was just a great way to get the name out there, but to make it a win-win, because at the place where we're having it, of course, they were getting all the proceeds from the sales, from the drinks, from the food. So everyone left happy. And I think when you can have those type of win-win type of events, which is exactly what you've done, I mean, it's really just a great way to get your name out, promote your business and your brand, sell some copies of the book, but most importantly, make it a fun event. Because I think that's one of the things that's really missing with this. It doesn't just have to be a book signing. You can turn this into a party, and you can have a good time doing it. Because when you're having a good time, everyone else is having a good time. And when you're making that connection, it opens up a lot of opportunity.
I totally agree. Couldn't have said it better. Yeah, awesome.
Well, speaking of books, I'd like to know what is your favorite book and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Okay, so my favorite book was, I don't know if you've heard of this, Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. Okay. So Brian, so this was probably, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to tell you how many years ago this was. This book is based on, so I believe he's a psychiatrist, and he was working out of Miami at the time. This book was about his experience of working with a client who was really struggling, and he was taking her through hypnosis and actually stumbled out of this lifetime and into another lifetime. And, you know, for whoever's listening, you might not, you know, agree with past lives, but I do. I feel like we've had many lives. And so for me, at the age when I probably read this in my mid-20s or later 20s. Anyway, I always felt like I was missing something in life. Like there had to be more. There had to be more. And this was the first book that I read. I was like, oh my gosh, this is, you know what? I felt like I'd had a life before. I'm reading this. So it was like, it kind of was, you know, it was a confirmation of some things that I had been feeling for myself. And I identified very strongly with this. And I loved how through his hypnosis, he was actually able to help this young woman move through she had terrible fears. And they were really showing up in this lifetime. So through that hypnosis session, he was really able to help her kind of reclaim her life and heal. So that was a huge inspiration for me.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
So my favorite quote is, every day we have enormous power to either add to the light of the world or not. And this is my favorite quote because it's true, right? In every moment of every day, we do have an opportunity to add to the light of ourselves, to add to, and I mean this in a positive way, positivity, right? We have the opportunity to add to our relationships in a either destructive or a positive way in the lives of everyone, really. And I feel like right now, this is quite relevant for what's playing out in our world. So that's why.
Well, Kimberly, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
So people can find me at my website. It's KimberleyBell.org. So Kimberly is spelled Kimberley. So there's an E in between the L and Y. KimberleyBell.org. I also have a podcast myself. It's called You Are Good Enough. You could find that on any of the platforms. And also you can follow me on Instagram, Kimberley Bell, spelled the same way. And I have a YouTube channel also. So I do videos weekly.
Kimberly, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you so much, Paul. My pleasure. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.